The aero stuff is moving so fast. Like, I was looking at speed suits the other day. What's your thoughts on this Vortex dual layer skin suit? Is it bullshit, or maybe even give us some context as to what it is for someone that doesn't know what we're talking about?
Sure. It's firstly, it's absolutely legitimate. Skin suits are a really interesting area of research. So the Vortex whole product line really has been, you could argue, say it's evolution since like Beijing and London. So the guys behind it, primarily Rob Lewis, he was one of the secret squirrels back in the day, to developing alongside like Sally Cowan, who was the seamstress, obviously Chris Baldwin, etc. So they were doing a lot of the development around all the textiles, and they had the whole plastic suits, or whatever, your rubberized suits, back in sort of London and Beijing. And then for Rio, they came up with this technology of basically like a dual layer. So in simple terms, there's a base layer or a bottom layer, and there's a top layer. And in between, they just put ribs, different sizing, spacing, geometries. And what that does is interacts with the air flowing over the surface, and without going too much detail, helps to keep the flow attached for longer around your body in specific areas where that's required. So predominantly, it's basically like your upper arm and your lower leg. They're kind of the areas where you can have good impact with these kind of fabrics. And yeah, it can be really significant. The really interesting bit and the advantageous bit of the whole dual layer technology is there's more variables to play with than, say, a single layer, because you can change the material, you can change how it's woven, you can change the tension of it, you can change the rib size, the rib spacing, the rib geometry, and all these things kind of interact. That means you can really optimize for a specific rider in a specific position at a specific speed. And that's kind of the way that aero is generally going. Like, we've made big improvements, and those small refinements really just come from individuality, which is Vortex offering. Basically, you pay them not an insignificant amount of money, and they'll make,
it's like $3,000 for a speed suit.
Yeah, $3,000. And if you go for their full R&D process, I think it's like 8, 9, 10 grand maybe for the whole package. But they'll make like 20 skin suits. You'll go to the wind tunnel, you'll test them all, and you take the fastest one home that day. And if you don't make a significant improvement, I think it's something like a 2% or 3% like promise, you can go home and not pay a thing, which is pretty cool.
But is one of the benefits, though, because I've used the base layers that, like from Rule 28 and stuff, that have the ribbed base layers. Now, I have a friend who works with a different clothing company, and he was telling me in the wind tunnel that they're kind of strange, because if you don't fit the skin suit properly over it, there can actually be a time penalty rather than a time saving. Is the benefit of the Vortex this suspended layer, so we don't have those fitting problems with the base layer?
Yes.
Or is that a very simplistic look
at
it?
No, it's definitely a good way of explaining it. So with Vortex and other brands, they basically sandwich the base layer into the suit, so you can't not fit it correctly. I mean, there's other advantages to what Vortex do. They full 3D scan you and use some computational draping technology to tell you exactly what your perfect pattern is, to have the right tension all over your body, where the seam should be, things like that. So it's not this, it's just money for old tat. It's really interesting, cool technology, but you can achieve a lot of it, or go a good way towards achieving that kind of performance with like a Rule 28 base layer, or like I say, there's lots of other brands out there doing it, but you have to do your testing, because if not, you can end up in a worse situation.
And their website saying it has omnidirectional drag reduction. I don't know what the hell that is, but if I say it fast enough, I sound really smart.
I think that's Chris Beck getting carried away with his marketing speak. What do they mean by omnidirectional? Maybe it's a yaw angle thing. Maybe it's a fabric orientation
That's what
thing.
I was figuring.
It's not something I would use in my marketing lingo, but yeah. I don't believe they need to. I'm really anti-marketing. I hate it as a thing. Like, as an engineer, I just buy, if something makes sense that it's going to be fast, I'll go buy it. You don't need to tell me 20 different ways in a load of big words because you're eating a thesaurus. Like, just if it works, it works. But like for my company, Watch Shop, it's a really challenge, because I'm just like, well, it's a good product, should sell itself. But unfortunately, marketing does work. I think like most of us who've worked in that arena recognize that.
If you enjoyed this conversation, please click up here. There's another video I know that you're absolutely going to love. And click over here and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our amazing upcoming guests.